Patriots Daily is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
It's Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media. In football, a lot of the time you hear, put players in the best position to succeed. Now, like a lot of things in football, that can completely be interpreted as jargon because, well, what exactly does putting players in the right positions actually mean when you're looking at the X's and O's and schematics of everything? So I'm going to try to use Bill O'Brien's strategies against the Eagles to try to gain some clarity and show how you can use personnel groupings, alignments, formations, and motions and shifts to put players in the best position to succeed. Taylor, what does that mean? I'll show you. This offense really struggled to get anything significant going on offense in the first quarter of the game against the Eagles. A lot of that was due to their own mistakes, but you also have to credit the Eagles for being on top of a lot of things the Patriots wanted to try. And you didn't really see a spark from the offense until the second quarter when they started incorporating more bunch formations, which get three receivers close together and can oftentimes force the defense to check into certain rules to avoid them getting picked off, miscommunications, and certain things like that. But Bill O'Brien did a great job exploiting what the Eagles were doing early and then building off that once they tried to counter. So we're going to show that here, 3rd and 5 in the second quarter. The Patriots come out, 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end. You see Hunter at the top of the bunch formation, Kendrick Bourne next to him, and Juju Smith-Schuster as the inside most receiver. Now, based on this initial alignment, Juju Smith-Schuster is actually going to be covered by the safety right here, the inside most defender. But you're going to see him shift to the outside, going from the number 3 alignment to the number 1 alignment, counting outside in. This gets him matched up against Darius Slay, who's got outside leverage. Now we're going to see that the Patriots run basically a smash concept with Hunter Henry running a deep corner and then Juju Smith-Schuster running an out behind it. But because of Juju Smith-Schuster's release, it's going to create a pick play where Hunter Henry just basically gets in the way and creates a bunch of traffic for Darius Slay to have to fight through. So we're going to see Juju releases right behind Hunter Henry, and then you see the mess. Darius Slay makes contact with Hunter Henry just because the big guy's getting in the way, and it gets Juju wide open underneath, right at the sticks. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the catch, but this was something that Bill O'Brien would go back to later. So this is, again, a later 3rd down in the second quarter. Once again, Juju Smith-Schuster's inside most alignment gets him matched up on the safety, who's the inside most defender, and what the Eagles are trying to do to defend this bunch concept. Again, Juju shifts to the outside to become the number 1 and is covered by Darius Slay. But this time, they're actually going to run more of a high-low concept inside, where Hunter Henry, once again, is setting a pick, just going vertical to try to get in the way, and Darius Slay is going to have to fight through that traffic. But instead of fighting where his leverage already is outside, he's going to have to go all the way inside to try to chase Juju Smith-Schuster, which, as you might expect, is not going to go well. So we'll see right here, similar release. It looks like the same thing, but you see Juju drifting inside. Darius Slay has to catch up, but oh look, Hunter Henry once again is right in his way. Juju is wide open underneath. Catch and run, 1st down. A lot of issues for Darius Slay there. So the Eagles said, all right, we're not going to let you do that anymore. So here you're going to see that Avonte Maddox, the slot defender, has actually backed up so that the point receiver, that's the player who's on the line of scrimmage in the bunch, can't create that conflict and make a big mess. Instead, they're going to use what's known as a spot check. That means that Darius Slay, rather than having to chase the outside most receiver, this time it's Demario Douglas, he just takes the first deep route that's kind of going outside and is going to squeeze on that. Avonte Maddox is going to either run up the seam, take the flat defender, which means he's going to go outside, or he's just going to take whoever the number 2 receiver is. Now, when I say final number 2, I mean that based on the releases. So as we saw in the other clips, Juju released behind Hunter Henry, which essentially made him the number 2 receiver. And then you're going to see the inside defender, Nakobe Dean, is going to take either the hook or the final number 3, so the 3rd receiver who releases into the route. All right. Now, again, they're going to make this look like the same play they used earlier, where the point man, now Kendrick Bourne, runs a pick with Demario Douglas, the outside receiver, running underneath it. But what they're actually going to do, and I'm sorry, go back real quick. So if this were to be the route that they expected, Nakobe Dean would come down on the drag where he has leverage, and you'd see Avonte Maddox carry that route from the point receiver. But instead, the Patriots are running a deeper smash concept with the point receiver running a very, very deep corner, which is essentially just a clear out route, and Demario Douglas running a corner route, but essentially making it look like a drag or shallow cross early in the route to create confusion. So now Darius Slay is going to be responsible for taking that deeper route that comes out initially, and Avonte Maddox is going to be responsible for the second route, which is going to be Demario Douglas on the corner. But his release for Demario Douglas is going to make that confusing because, as you can see, he's right behind Kendrick Bourne. So Avonte Maddox squeezes on that first route because he's responsible for the seam, but then also sees that Demario Douglas is underneath him, and you're going to see him start to get into a bit of conflict here. Eyes are on the quarterback, but Demario Douglas is already in his blind spot, and by the time Avonte Maddox realizes, Demario Douglas is already open, and Maddox has to recover. All that grass to run into, great ball from Mac Jones, first down, and that's a great example of, as you can see, we'll run that back one more time. Mario Douglas creating conflict with his route stem, doing a great job getting in the blind spot. Maddox, eyes on the QB, doesn't realize he's being attacked. By the time he does, too late. Demario Douglas already has a ton of space. Great job by Bill O'Brien. First two times he sees man coverage and attacks it with essentially pick plays. The third time, the Eagles check and counter to make sure they don't get picked, but the Patriots are ready for it with the concept that takes advantage of that corner and the slot corner in Avonte Maddox, and they get a big play off of it. With the NFL season officially underway, it's been pretty tough finding time to cook for myself and my family, and even tougher making meals that both taste good and don't destroy my body. Thankfully, our friends at Factor provide ready-to-eat meal kits that are not only chef prepared, but also dietitian approved and delivered straight to your door. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know any chefs or any dietitians, so this has been a huge help for me on a daily basis. These save me a ton of money. I don't have to go to the grocery store to get ingredients, and most importantly, they taste fantastic. Additionally, they save me a desperate trip to the nearest fast food place when I have completely forgotten to cook myself dinner. Head to factormeals.com/PatsDaily50 and use code PatsDaily50 to get 50% off. That's code PatsDaily50 at factormeals.com/PatsDaily50 to get 50% off. But we're also going to see that Bill O'Brien did a great job using formations to create conflict as well. So here, the Patriots go with an empty formation, and they have a wide receiver outside who's covered by a corner. That makes sense. A wide receiver in the slot to the bottom who's followed by a slot corner, and a tight end followed by a linebacker. Now, all these things are pretty standard. But the Patriots also have a running back in Ramondre Stevenson all the way on the outside to the bottom of the screen, which gets him an assignment against Darius Slay. Now, obviously, this is not an advantageous matchup for the offense, but what is wide receiver Mario Douglas ending up basically in a bracket between an inside leveraged linebacker and a safety who's going to drop down to cover the flat. Now, neither of these players are equipped to handle Demario Douglas's quickness, and we're going to see that here as Demario Douglas runs basically a staggered in-breaking route where he's going to close space on the linebacker and run an inside breaking route with the linebacker trying to match. But again, with Demario Douglas's quickness, this is not an ideal situation. So Douglas is going to close that space, kind of stagger, as you can see, just to get into the linebacker's grill, kind of square him up and see where he reacts. The linebacker is going to have inside leverage, and Demario Douglas is going to break towards that. But because of his quickness, it's going to allow him to get separation, as you can see. Now, see, Dean tries to jam him to slow him down, but Demario still slips underneath and gets open, as you can see. But the pass for Mac Jones is a bit high, and it bounces off Demario Douglas's hands. But creating a matchup where you have a wide receiver lined up against a linebacker, especially someone with the stop-start ability and the explosiveness of a Demario Douglas, great job by Bill O'Brien creating that mismatch. And they actually did this again later in the game. Now, this time, it's a bit of a more confusing situation because the Patriots, once again, you're going to have two receivers on one side of the formation, both covered by cornerbacks, and then a tight end in Mike Gesicki in the slot covered by a safety. Again, pretty standard. But this time, with the running back being matched up against a cornerback on the outside again because the Eagles are in zone, that's going to create a mismatch with, I say, offensive weapon Ty Montgomery because he's a running back, he's a receiver. If I were a defense, I would just consider him a receiver and say that this is 11 personnel. But because Ty Montgomery does both, it can create conflict in what the defense matches with. Here, the Eagles match with a nickel defense, but because Ty Montgomery is on the inside-most position against a zone defense for the Eagles, it's going to get him matched up against a pair of linebackers. Again, big mismatch. Initially, Ty Montgomery is going to stem to make it look like the Patriots' juke concept where he sits between the two defenders, but he's actually going to get the linebacker to bite on that and break back outside on a whip route. So run the play. You see him start to stem inside. Both linebackers inside for the Eagles bite down on the route, but then Ty Montgomery breaks outside. He's open. Mac Jones puts it on him. First down inside the 10-yard line. So that was just week one from the Patriots offense. Really exciting stuff and some really great examples of Bill O'Brien moving guys around the formation, using different shifts to play with coverage rules, and getting guys aligned inside what he calls the playmaker positions at the number 3 spot, as we saw with Montgomery, and the number 2 weak spot, as we saw with Demario Douglas, to get them matched up against linebackers and make their jobs a little bit easier.
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube at YouTube TV.